The execution of Charles Vallow is not a family tragedy. There is nothing that you can say about shooting a man as he lay on the ground that you can try to construe in any way to make that a family tragedy. This case is about the defendant, not Alex Cox. Alex is involved in it because that is her co-conspirator. We are not here to determine his guilt, albeit it is quite obvious. This defendant wants you to just look at one piece, and she wants you to hope that there's only a person who will say, I heard the conspiracy. But what did you hear in every instruction is that you can look to other evidence to show that. This defendant wants you to forget about her words and pretend that when she told her lover, her soon-to-be husband, we got rid of him, that he changed the life insurance before we got rid of him, that somehow means what? That they killed him. And he changed his life insurance before they killed him. What does that tell you? That tells you motive, and that tells you who did it. This defendant is one of those we, because she's writing it. She wants you to pretend that when she is talking about Charles for months, acquiescing and agreeing to her brother killing him, having people tell her that it's wrong, having people know that they're planning for something, that those words don't mean exactly what they are. We got rid of him, this defendant. The state, of course, has the burden, and that's how it should be. But every one of those justification defenses falls short when you look at the conspiracy itself. When they got rid of him, they did it by planning it. There is no reason that Alex Cox came over to this defendant's house with a loaded gun and waited for Charles to come inside, held there by this defendant using the cell phone. That is conspiracy. That is planning. That is premeditated. You can absolutely watch that whole video. That's why the state included that for you. What you're going to see is that Lori Vallow doesn't cry. She is not truthful, as we've gone through. Her timeline is absolutely wrong. She tells the detectives it's quick, it's 12 minutes. She wants you to believe that the police could understand all of this that day. But what did you hear? Is that all the police could tell initially was that the timeline was off. And then they started learning that the physical evidence seemed to be showing that Charles was executed on the floor, but they needed to see if the medical examiner agreed with them 2 days later. And then they needed to pull all those iCloud accounts, phone records, and go through terabytes of data to bring forth these things that you have now learned and hold. They interviewed these people who learned of the defendant's religious beliefs, that she was exalted, that she was celestial being, that she didn't have to repent. Of course she thought she was Nephi. We learned that the physical evidence on Charles and at the scene show us that he was executed. And every single one of those defenses that the defendant has asked you to look at The state has met its burden. Because even if you somehow believe that Charles actually had that bat and it wasn't staged like the rest of the scene with the shoes and the lack of blood there, that second shot is not justified for self-defense, crime prevention, or third-party defense. Arizona law does not allow you to execute a man on the ground. The defendant wants you to believe she was shocked and surprised by this, and yet she goes wandering around, goes to Burger King, Walgreens, drops off her kid, comes back and jokes about her neighbors. Not one action of a person shocked, surprised. She wants you to feel bad for her daughter, Tylee. You saw her there. You heard from the detectives. She's also not shocked, crying, upset, worried. And you saw Alex. Same demeanor. Why? They've had 47 minutes to work it all out. Go through Charles's phone, figure out what they're going to say. They've talked on the phone twice in this time period. This case relies upon all of the investigation that the police did. That day, when they knew that timeline was wrong, that day when they started to understand that the physical evidence at the scene was staged and wrong and didn't match what the defendant was saying, and then all of the evidence after that, culminating when this defendant told the man that she married later that she was having an affair with, as many times as she wants to say Charles was my husband. She didn't want him as her husband. She wanted Chad Daybell. She wanted that life insurance policy, and yes, she was angry about it. And she said, we got rid of him. That is her confession to you. That is why she is guilty of conspiracy to commit first-degree murder. Thank you.